Hello, and welcome to the New Law Podcast, where we guide entrepreneurial lawyers to build law practices into businesses they love. I'm Ali Katz. In today's episode, we're talking to Jordan Ostroff about his inspiring journey from being a prosecutor to founding a successful personal injury law firm now run by his wife, while he works with law firm owners on how to love their law firms and just finished a book, Love Your Law Firm. You're going to hear how he's helping lawyers nationwide find professional success and personal fulfillment, and how he was able to take off, I think, close to a year to travel with his wife and child. So if you're at all feeling burned out or unsure about how to turn your legal practice into a fulfilling business, this episode is for you. Join us and listen to a great conversation, an inspiring conversation with me and Jordan. Let's get into it. All right. Hey, Jordan.
Hello.
Good to see you today. Thanks so much for joining me.
Yeah, no problem. Happy to be here.
So you just wrote a book that is very near and dear to my heart, title-wise, Love Your Law Firm book. And it's near and dear to me very specifically because I have talked for a long time about loving your law practice. And when I read your book, I thought, I need to make sure that what Jordan's talking about is aligned with what I'm talking about. And I did, and it was so spot on. So thanks for joining me here today to talk about that and your history of figuring out how to love your law firm.
There we go. May everybody who listens to this or reads the book avoid many of the mistakes I made along the way. But
yes,
we're here.
For sure. Before we start with that, though, as I was reviewing your story, it turns out that we went to the same college.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. UCF Knights. Go
yeah.
Knights. Uh-huh. Yeah. I have a feeling I was there quite a few years before you. But what year did you graduate?
09.
Yes, I was there. You graduated college in 09.
I graduated college in 2009.
Goodness, you're a youngin'.
Thank you. This morning I found out I'm 5 years younger than Bandit from Belouie. So, the important things.
You have done a lot, and you have a lot of gray in your beard.
It allows me to raise my hourly rate the more gray it goes. So
it's really true. It's really true. So yeah, and you also grew up in South Florida. I also grew up in South Florida. And then you stayed in Orlando for law school. I did get out of Orlando. I got out of Florida altogether. But then you also, your first real law job was for the state of Florida as an assistant state attorney. And I interned at the Florida Attorney General's office.
Oh, there you go.
After college and before law school. So we've got some similarities there. And I did see it as well that you always knew that you wanted to be a lawyer, that there's home videos of you at 3 or 4 arguing with your parents. But how did you know you wanted to be a lawyer?
I have no idea. I joke with everybody like half the time I don't know what lawyers do anyway, but I enjoy what I'm doing now. So I don't know. I was like, I think the doctor, somebody might die in front of you, and knock on wood, no one's died in front of me as a lawyer yet, but hopefully forever. It's one of those things, like you fall ass backwards into something that you enjoy.
But was it really just maybe hearing your parents, like you're arguing with your parents and you're hearing them say, oh, he's going to be a lawyer or something like that? Did that happen?
I'm sure it did. I don't recall my parents saying, I don't recall in the moment my parents having anything positive to say about my stubbornness. And now with a 6-year-old, I know exactly what they went through. So mom and dad, I am sorry. But karma has delivered me a mini me. So
yes. Well, isn't it wonderful? You get to revisit all of that as a parent. I think that's the best part of parenting. So you are a parent as well as being a lawyer, and you have built a law firm with your wife, Heather Trick Ostroff. Driven Law, a PI law firm located in Orlando, Florida, which is where you are both still living. And it seems to me that you're really in the role of business owner. You're not a PI lawyer. Heather is.
Yeah, I've never handled a PI case. I have no idea how to handle a PI case, but I know who to go to, they're there, and they can
Yes.
do their job amazingly well.
And so when you came out of law school, was it clear? Were you already married to Heather or in relationship with Heather, and you
No,
two did this together right from the start?
no, we met in court on opposite sides. She was a PD and
Oh,
I was at the state. We did not have a case in common, so don't worry. There was no issues there, although I would have lost whether I won or not. So uh
yeah.
yeah.
That's juicy. So you were on opposite sides. You were at the state attorney's office. She was a public defender,
Yep.
and you're both working for the government. And then you meet and decide to start a business together. Is that how it went?
So when we first met, I was an intern and she was a PD, and then I came back as a real prosecutor with a bar card. So she she decided, so she got to the point where like all of her cases were serious, all of her clients were looking at life or close to it, the whole thing. And so she was like, "Hey, I really enjoyed my time in juvenile court. I want to try to go teach civics to middle school kids and see if we can like get them interested in the system in a way to avoid going through it later." And I was like, "All right, well, if you're gonna do that and take the pay cut, but still have the insurance, like this is probably a good time for me to jump and start the practice." And then suffice it to say, both my wife and I were she felt safer and I felt safer with her in jail with criminal clients than in a classroom with middle school students,
Wow.
on a number of levels. And so we started the firm in October. She came on full time the following April. So 6 months later, before the school year ended. And then we had to figure out sort of how not to step on each other's toes, which led to like me going business owner marketer route, her going more lawyer focused route. And since then, it's been great. Like since we had that.
That division.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah,
you.
we see that. We see that a lot. We work with a lot of husband-wife partnerships in our advanced growth mastermind, which is part of our personal family lawyer training program. Once, lawyers are ready to really build into businesses, and then we'll end up working with the husband-wife team. And sometimes one of them is not a lawyer. Oftentimes they both are. Either way, they're doing it together. And exactly what you've said is the key. They have to decide on their roles. Who's in what role? Don't step on each other's toes. Stay in your lane. And was it clear? Was it absolutely clear that you were going to be business marketer and she was going to do the legal part?
No. So my wife will tell you she's the best that I'm the best litigator she's seen, which is very kind of her. I just like, I had this conversation with a friend when we were at the state attorney's office, even before this. I was like, look, we're in downtown Orlando. Like within 1,000 feet of us, there's probably 100 great lawyers and there's probably like three great law firm businesses or, whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it. Like the Morgan and Morgan main
Yes.
office is right down there. So they've got a
Uh,
ton of phenomenal lawyers, but like there's, it's one business. And so like we always had an easier time finding great lawyers than we did from the business side. And I think it was more a question of like, I think I could have gone either way in that split, but I don't think my wife could have gone to the business owner split. Like she truly loves like actual litigation, or she loves teaching people about actual litigation. Like it's very interesting to see. Like I don't think the teaching problem. I don't think the teaching part of the job was the problem for her. I think it was the students.
yeah.
And so like now she teaches actually at UCF, even though she's not a Knights grad like either of I. She does the one class a semester and whatnot. And so like it's turned out to be the right fit for both of us, even though in that moment it wasn't that clear.
And you, as the business guy, the marketer, no longer doing the legal side, you studied everything there was at that time, soaking up all the knowledge from the best marketing minds in the industry. Who were some of your teachers? Who were some of your teachers? Because I go back to, I'll share where I go back to.
Yeah.
Dan Kennedy, Were you ever a student of Dan?
No, but Ben
Dan
Glass's
Black.
Renegade Legal Marketing was like the first book that I was like, "Oh my god, this is a thing that can be done.
Yeah.
Whoa."
Yes. Yeah. So when I was on a plane flying somewhere and I picked up Entrepreneur Magazine or Inc. Magazine, I can't recall. And Dan Kennedy had like a full page, what I now understand to be an advertorial. I didn't know that's what it was. I thought it was an article, but an advertorial looks like an article. And literally, he was talking to me. I had built this successful law practice using a new methodology that I had discovered for serving families with young children with estate planning, filling a hole. And I had been thinking about for so long, oh, I want to take this out and teach it to other lawyers. I love to teach, like, sounds like your wife as well. I love to teach. And then I see this Dan Kennedy advertorial, which is a full page on how successful, solo professionals of any kind can take their knowledge and work from home. This is 20 years ago now. And so there was nothing really about the internet. It was like, use your phone to, make millions of dollars working from home, taking your knowledge and bringing it to the world and have total flexibility of your schedule. And I was like, oh my God, who is this? What is this? I want this thing. And eventually I ended up getting to Ohio to one of his events. And Ben Glass was the only other lawyer in the room. It was me and Ben Glass.
There we go.
Yeah. And so I love that he was, really in some ways the first person that taught you about lawyer marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where I mean, because like, look, you can get all the Glengarry Glen Ross, always be closing, cold call, whatever, but like we can't do that as lawyers. And so it was like really interesting to read a book that was more lawyer focused.
What was the biggest eye opener for you when it came to renegade lawyer marketing?
I mean, in from that book specifically, I think like the having a newsletter, and so like I bought a traffic ticket business from other lawyers in town. They had like 10,000 prior clients, and I kicked myself because like I didn't think about sending email blasts to all of them until reading Ben's book, which was like a year and a half later. And I was
Yeah.
like, man, I wonder how many thousands of dollars I left on the table by like not having a $49 a month MailChimp or Constant Contact account, like with this thing that he's talking about. But you live, you learn, and you do it better the
Right.
next time.
And then you did that. You implemented an email newsletter.
Well, so yes, at some point. I don't know in terms of the full story or in terms of this part of the story.
Well, yeah. I mean, did you, as soon as you realized, oh, I should have an email newsletter, did you immediately get one up and running and put it into that traffic firm, or did you wait until you had your own PI firm?
No, so we launched. Yeah, I would say. So if I bought the firm in 16, yeah, probably 18. So a year and a half, 2 years later, came across Ben's book, and that was helpful towards that. And then like just had a complete was able to have a really intentional breather of like the entire concept of marketing uh, through the context of my kid being born. And like that was where I really kind of like rebuilt the stuff from a base of knowledge instead of a base of just being a complete idiot who made it work.
I wouldn't say an idiot. I'm sure you weren't a complete idiot, just uninformed.
Aggressively uninformed then. How's that?
Aggressively uninformed. Well, we come out of law school aggressively uninformed, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. But I just like, so I, UCF in Orlando, like we talked about, went to
Yeah.
law school for Barry in Orlando, was a prosecutor in Orlando, and I did trial team like the whole time through undergrad and then coached as a lawyer. And so like I had, 10 years of people in the area of lawyers, of judges, of contacts. And I was able to tap into them for some referrals and got like, a couple $100,000 worth of referrals my first year and was like, oh, this is great. Like I'll hire a marketing company and they'll fill in the gaps. But like I
Right.
didn't know enough to have that conversation with them. They didn't ask me, like, do you have a sales process? Who do you want to work with? Those kind of things. And so like I was able to spend my way into a bunch of debt and a bunch of bad mistakes from having like some core of success that I could leverage to maximizing the problem.
Man, I love that. I leveraged my core of success to maximize the problem and took all the money that I made and invested it in the wrong people who couldn't actually help me so that I could learn what I needed to do to actually be able to help myself.
Well, and to be fair, like, I don't even know how much of it was them versus me. Like, if I had a real sales process at that time, a lot of this would have gotten a lot better, and it was just a question of not knowing the full
Yes.
breadth of what is required for these things. And
Well, I love
so
that. I love that that's yeah, I love that that's what you're pointing to is like not having a sales process. I see that all the time. It's in fact one of the very first it is the first thing that I ever taught coming out of my learnings from Dan Kennedy. Well, what I tried to do at first after I learned from Dan is I tried to sell the very first thing that I tried to sell was a package of legal documents called the Kids Protection Plan, because I identified that there was a hole in the estate planning for families with young children, which, by the way, there still is, Jordan. And so, since you have a little one, I don't know if I've sent you my book yet, Wear Clean Underwear.
no, but it's one of the rules I live by. So sometimes
Great.
you have to flip it
Well,
inside out, but at least.
Well, once you're a parent, wearing clean underwear alone is no longer enough, Jordan. There's important legal planning steps you need to take. So I'm going to send you a copy of my book.
All right.
Um, great. And so for listeners who want a copy of the book, you can go to personalfamilylawyer.com, and at the top it'll say book, and you could get a copy of the book as well. But I had identified that there's this hole in legal planning for families because I'm a mom too. And I'm at dinner one night with my husband, realizing that even though I had an estate plan, um, if we didn't make it home, our daughter was with a 16-year-old who was going to have no idea what to do. Where's the will? Even if she knew where the will is, the person we named as guardian lives 3,000 miles away, and the authorities are going to have no choice but to take our daughter Kaya into the care of strangers until they could figure out what to do. And I was extremely motivated to solve that problem. Like, that was not okay with me. So I solved that problem, wrote a book about it, started selling that to consumers. Kids Protection Plan. It's the first website that I ever created, kidsprotectionplan.com, still exists today.
Hey,
And now there's lots of online legal document providers. But at the time, other lawyers were like, what are you doing? Why are you selling legal documents online? Like, they couldn't understand it. But
a lot of
when I
lawyers
went,
still don't understand it though, Allie.
yes, oh, yes, exactly. A lot of lawyers still don't understand it. Yes, yes, it's true. Yeah, we are going to ultimately need to get to the place and this is really what personal family lawyers about today is you don't need to compete with the document providers. Like, let the document providers provide the documents and you provide the counsel, right? Differentiated service. So, I when I went to the Dan Kennedy event where I met Ben, I ended up hiring my first real business coach, this guy Dave, who helped me to see that I was trying to do so many things. And he said, number one, you need a win, because I had just gotten divorced and I was spending all my money trying to learn how to sell things online. And he said, you need a win. What is the thing that you know how to do that no other lawyers know how to do, that you're doing successfully right now? And I thought about it for a while. And he's like, and it can't be the Kids Protection Plan.
Oh,
He said, it's not that. He said, it's something else. What is it?
why not
Um,
that one though?
because that one was a consumer product. And he said, you cannot afford to build a consumer product. You need to bring something to the lawyers. There's
Okay,
something
got it.
for the lawyers. And he what it was, oh, I know how to sell estate planning better than anyone else. I have a whole system for it. I've developed this system over a couple of years now, because I was losing clients to I have to think about it, or not being able to explain our pricing, or they could get it cheaper somewhere else. And I've solved all of that. And he said, great. Well, then in 6 weeks, we're going to do a teleseminar. This is before webinars. We're going to do a teleseminar. We're going to invite people to a phone call, and we're going to sell your training on how to engage clients.
Here we go. No PowerPoint
And
through the phone.
Oh, no, no PowerPoint.
Yeah.
And in fact, Jordan, at that time, no training. I didn't have a training. I
Oh,
just
like
I had
truly. Yeah.
I truly had only the idea that I could do this. And I said, "Wait, I can't do it in 6 weeks. That's too fast." So he said, "Okay, fine, 8 weeks." So we ended up doing it.
Good for you, at least getting the
Yeah,
2 extra weeks at the beginning. I would have
I
been
got
like,
to
"Yeah, no problem," and then the night before been like,
well, what ended up happening is that on that call, this was 2006, we had 750 lawyers register for the call. It was I I was really blown away, and we did the call, and this is back in the day, again, before Zoom or anything like that. We had instant teleseminar was our technology, and we had the real issue of too many people trying to get on the line than we had space for, and people were pissed they couldn't get on the
uh,
line. And my biggest fear was that I was only going to enroll one person because I was gonna have to create the whole program for whoever bought because it I didn't really have a program yet. I knew what was gonna go in it. We ended up doing about, $115,000 of sales in a 67-minute phone call.
whoa.
Changed my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, was running around just screaming like, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god." And over about 6-week period, we did about 250,000 in sales because what we were teaching was exactly what you're saying here, how to get hired and paid by clients, how to sell. And half the people that bought the program ended up returning it because it was so put together in a, it was like it was ugly market. It was like really ugly. It was like spiral notebooks and
Wow.
binders. I don't have them here with me, but the originals, are just funny. These plastic notebooks. It was literally everything I did in my office, my scripts,
Well,
but they had to like actually work to implement
the
it.
substance over style.
But the other half of the people who could actually see what they had started implementing it and started sending me unsolicited testimonials. Oh my God, I just raised my fees from $400 to $4,000. Oh my God, I've engaged the past 7 clients I've met with, one, 100% engagement rate. And I knew I had something. And and I share this story because today, still 20 years later, it's a problem. Lawyers don't have a system for getting hired, and they're trying to solve it by hiring marketing agencies. And they're spending so much money on Google Ads or on SEO, or I don't know, what else did this marketing agency sell you? Would you love direct support to help you grow your law practice into a business you love? Go to newlawbusinessmodel.com/show and sign up for a call with one of our trusted law business advisors. Each of our advisors has been trained directly by me over the past 5 years plus to help you chart your path from wherever you are now to where you want to go as efficiently and effectively as possible. You're ready to grow. We're here to help.
Ali, I bought everything from everybody. I bought leads, I bought SEO, I bought ads, I bought social media ads, I bought Facebook ads, I bought done for you this, I bought work with you for this, I bought templates for that. I mean, it was because look,
Because they're really good marketers, the marketing agencies.
well, they're good salespeople. And look, one case, it pays for itself. One case, it pays for itself. Well, the 100 fucking things that didn't even bring in one case didn't never paid for themselves. So
Because if you don't know how to sell, it doesn't matter if you buy leads, if you generate leads, if you get SEO, if you get calls, if you don't know how to sell, or if you're selling a service that you can't actually even afford to deliver on, maybe that's not so much of
right.
an issue in PI. Is that an issue in PI?
Oh, not so much in PI, but like I started out, I coming out as a prosecutor, we did criminal defense. And so there were definitely times where I probably paid more money for a lead for a client that wanted to pay me less and I ended up losing money over time.
Yeah. And so to me, and this is why we start with this foundational in our programs, is you have to know how to sell a service that you can afford to deliver on. Period. End of story. Don't ever spend a dollar on marketing before that.
Oh, so yeah,
And
I mean, I always tell people, so like get fulfillment down. So I think that's what you're talking about, delivering the service. And then you move
yes,
to the sales process because now, like, you know, you were concerned about one person hiring you, but a lot of lawyers are concerned about 100 people hiring them in one day that they can't handle. And then, yeah, and then you go, you work your way up the funnel towards marketing now that you have the foundation of fulfillment and the sales process to get there.
yeah. And so you figured that out after spending insane amounts of money, really to learn the hard way.
Very kind of you to say I figured it out. I realized where the holes were in the process.
Yes. And so you solved it in your law firm, driven law firm,
So at that point, Jordan Law, but yeah.
Jordan Law. Okay. So that's also an interesting thing to talk about because we do see a lot of lawyers begin with their name. You began with your name and then you shifted. Why'd you do that?
So I was never going to be Ostroff Law because nobody will remember my last name. So I was like, oh, Jordan Law is great. And then, Michael Jordan, and we have, man, I wish I had the original logo. We did like the MLB logo. So like red, white, and blue across like every sports logo. And
Uh-huh.
it wasn't intentional, but it like worked out pretty well. And then everybody thought it was cool. Jordan answered the phone. Jordan handled their case. Jordan talked to them. And then at some point I stopped doing that. And so I was like, what the hell is the point of people calling a firm to not have the name on the door actually speak to them? And my wife had the idea for Driven Law years ago. And finally, I owned a marketing company, and the marketing company was like, oh, let's do the rebrand. It'll be a good opportunity that way. And it has been. So it was just over a year. It's April 1st of last year. We did the rebrand.
Oh, wow. Okay. It's been really recent since you rebranded.
Yeah. A year and 3 weeks.
Got it. And really now you're creating a business that you can sell. Do you see that future reality where you sell this business?
I mean, fingers crossed my child does not become a lawyer. Fingers crossed he goes into like HVAC or, anything else. And then sure, look, everything has a price.
Yes. Well, it's funny that you say that. My son is in construction, and my daughter's in makeup. Neither one of them did go to law school. Although I have gotten to a place now where I'd actually be really happy if they ended up choosing it because I did figure out a way to love it. But there was a time where I was like, "There's no way. I don't love it." But your son could love his law firm.
Arguing with me and driving me nuts and making so like we took away screen time, or we have very limited screen time for him. And he's like, hey, don't you like Bluey and Gravity Falls and all the other shows that we watch together? Yes. He's like, so really you're punishing yourself. And I was like, thanks, 5-year old at the time. Like, you're correct. I am punishing myself by not giving you, unlimited TV and iPad. So
Yes. Yeah, it's true. Well, you're also punishing yourself because now I'm imagining that while he's not having screen time, you're having to do some form of entertainment, kid entertainment. Is that
oh
what's replaced the screen
yeah,
time?
we have a blast. We just shoot each other with Nerf guns and throw balls outside and play hide and seek. It's a lot of fun.
Well,
I'm
that
very
sounds fun.
lucky.
Yeah, that's way better than the screen time anyway. So tell him he's wrong. It's not a punishment at all. It's the best thing possible because you get to actually play. You're having a great time. So you've built this business that maybe you'll sell one day, maybe you won't, but you'll be able to because it doesn't have your name on it. It doesn't have Heather's name on it. Nobody's calling up asking to work with Jordan or Heather for that matter. If they get you, great. But you really, this is the New Law podcast for entrepreneurial lawyers. You are without question an entrepreneurial lawyer. Um, did you know that you were going to be an entrepreneur? Like, was that an awareness that you had going to law school or coming out?
No, I thought I was going to be a prosecutor for life. And then even like, you put in a 3-year commitment. So I would say at like the 2-year and 9-month mark, I thought I was going to be a prosecutor for life. And then at like the 2-year and 11-month mark, I was like, oh man, my days are numbered. It
What
was,
happened? What happened in that? Like, what happened there?
so I was doing at that point what was called general felony. So like that was, you could not be killed. You could not have killed somebody intentionally, but you could have done it recklessly. So like armed robberies, DUI manslaughters, like reckless deaths, those kind of things. The next promotion was the sex crimes. I applied for it. They told me I didn't get it, and I was weirdly happy. They told me I would get the next one though, and my heart like dropped through my body. And I was like, oh, I don't want the next promotion. Oh, huh. So it was a very interesting way to figure it out. And I was like, so I guess I can't stay here. Like I don't want the next move.
Yeah. And how did you actually then make that leap? So now you're aware I can't stay here. What was that aha of, oh, I can start my own practice and here's what I'm going to do.
So I very Orlando has a great legal community, especially from the criminal side. I guess I was a easy to work with prosecutor because like 20 or 30 defense attorneys were like, oh yeah, I'll talk to you. We can get lunch and here's what you do. Here's what the transition's like. Again, going back to the me not knowing, I did not ask enough questions about the business side of it. So I got a ton of great advice and people sent me copies of motions and my wife being a PD helped me with like the filings on that side and whatever else. But not a ton on the business
Right.
aspect, which goes into, the rest of that part. But I am so, so, so thankful to all those people. And one of them offered space and extra cases, Corey Cohen, it's a nice shout out in the book. And I got to get him a copy as soon as I have it. So he hears this. Sorry, Corey. It's coming. And that helped from that standpoint. That was a good foundation to get everything else going.
So you spoke to other lawyers about the legal side of the defense practice. You found an office, another lawyer who would give you space. That's also, by the way, how I made the transition out of the big law firm myself. Found another lawyer in my community that would give me office space. I traded 20 hours a month for the space because I didn't have money to pay rent. Did you pay rent right away?
I did. To be fair, though, it's the best rent I've ever paid because I got probably 10x in cases from the office for the rent. So
Yeah, for
it's
the
great.
overflow. Yeah, so you got some cases right away. And so now let's fast forward to you've built a business. You're on the business side, your wife is on the legal side, and you decided to write a book. That's what brought you here, the Love Your Law Firm book. It just launched 10 days ago now while we're recording this. And that book was a long time in the making.
A long time. Yeah.
Yeah. What had it finally? Okay, fine. I'm ready. It's now is the time.
That's a great question. So the book started basically as therapy. Like I hated it. We were hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. We were miserable. And I was like, I'm just gonna write. Like I'm gonna write my way through this. And like Gary Vee says, document, don't create. So I guess I was sort of creating something, but I was mostly just like documenting the horror. And then I realized because it was a book that was like my story, it was never gonna finalize until I died. And thank God I haven't died yet. And hopefully that won't come for a long period of time.
Yeah.
So my wife and I and our son, who was 3 to 4 at the time, 3 to 5 at the time, we did a 13-month cross country road trip. And I was like, all right, I'm done. Like, this is a good end of the book. I think part of that's in the story, but like now we're, getting back into the flow of things. So let's call this the end of the book, at least the first book or whatever. And that let me release the book, whatever it was, probably 16 months later still. But at least then I
Because a
finally had.
chapter of your life died.
Well, yeah, I mean, like if you're, I wasn't really writing an autobiography, but like I was doing things differently and learning and changing the firm. And so like, there's going back to and changing Jordan law to driven law. There's going back and talking about not being at legalese anymore. Like there's so many life events that I had to update that finally I was like, you know what? Like just, I need that date
Yes.
to ever get this out there and hopefully help
Yes.
people.
So you mentioned something. You were hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt,
Yeah.
hating your life as a result of the decisions that you made when you really didn't know about business and being an entrepreneurial lawyer. You were a lawyer, but just investing in everything to learn the hard way. And you decided to go on a 13-month road trip. Was that were you still in that place of,
Oh, no, no, no. There's a like 4-year window. That's like to
I
me,
see,
that being able to go on the road for 13 months and have the firm do great and hit our KPIs and keep whatever, like that's the
that
culmination
was the
of
result.
the end of that journey.
Got it. Okay. And that because you at that point, really that 13-month road trip was I've built a business that can run without me being there every day And now me and my wife and our child can go on this 13-month road trip and the business is running. The PI firm is going, it's serving clients, it's generating clients, it's engaging clients. Now we can go.
And Ali, I'll take it a step further. My business runs better when I'm not here, like flat out. It's not a question of it can run without me. It's a question of the less that I am there to meddle with everybody and everything. And the more I can just be like, this is our, big long-term picture, the better everything goes for everybody.
Well, it really makes a lot of sense. It's the same for me as well, by the way, in my own businesses, because we're creative entrepreneurial types who always come up with new ideas, and we mess things up when that's the case. If we can just get everybody on a path and follow that path, business runs great. Um, and it's it's interesting that was in some ways your first exit. So when we take lawyers through our journey, they first learn the service delivery model and how to engage clients. That's like bare minimum foundation. You've got to know how to serve and you've got to know how to get hired and paid. Then it's all about marketing and building your team and getting your technology and systems in place. And then you're setting up for this exit. And we see that there's two kind of exit paths. One is get the firm running so that it can run while you take long vacations, in your case, a 13-month road trip, or sell it. And it sounds like you've gotten the firm to a place where you actually don't need to sell it because it creates cash flow. You can work in it when you want. Your wife still loves working in it. It's what she loves to do. There's no reason to sell it at this point, but you really have gotten to that, what I will call one of the exit growth paths. So for lawyers who want to follow in your footsteps and really shortcut all of that learning that you invested in hundreds of thousands of dollars to learn what not to do and want to learn from your therapy, the book is called Love Your Law Firm. I assume it's available everywhere.
It's on Amazon. I don't know. Is that
Amazon.
everywhere? Amazon will
Yeah,
deliver it to you everywhere.
that's
So,
right. Well, I'm actually in Costa Rica where I spend half the year, and Amazon does not deliver here.
oh,
It's one of the
take it back.
yeah, it's one of the positive negatives, I guess, about being here. Can't get everything overnight, but also can't get everything overnight. So it's a mixed, paradox. So Love Your Law Firm is the book, and you are working with law firm leaders who really do want to be the CEO in their business as well.
Yeah, I want to help more lawyers create their version of my journey. And hopefully, it's not as crummy at the beginning and it's just as good or better at the end. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm hoping to do. I'm on a mission to help more lawyers be happy.
Yes. Yes. Well, we share that mission.
Yeah.
Lawyers can be happy with, and the way that I look at it, Jordan, I'm curious if you agree with me. We are actually the luckiest, I think, of professionals, because when we are using our law degree in the right way, it becomes this extremely high value asset that is actually relatively rare, because most lawyers actually don't know how to use their law degree in the right way. And um, uh, when I look at because I've worked with a lot of business owners in a lot of different industries, and when I look at all of the other industries, most service providers either need to create their service from scratch. They can't like step into something that's already proven. So then they have to create everything from scratch: the service, the sales, the marketing, the fulfillment, everything. Or they are in a model like financial services or selling insurance where they may not even really believe in what they're selling, but they have to sell it anyway. Whereas lawyers, we get to believe in what we're selling.
I hope so.
Well, I see. I also do meet a lot of lawyers who don't believe in what they're selling, but I think it's just because they're not using their law degree in the right way.
I also think there's 3 years and $150,000 moat built around being a lawyer, as
Right.
opposed to, getting a financial, depending upon the series licensing and whatnot for
Right.
that, you could do it cheaper. I'm sure there's ones that have way more education than I do, but which is
Yeah.
which is helpful.
It is. It is. And so, if you are a lawyer who is listening to this and you are not currently happy, you don't love how you are using your law degree, and you know that there can be a better way, you're right. There can be. And Jordan and his wife are perfect examples of that. And so pick up a copy of Love Your Law Firm, read it, and you'll see exactly what you can be doing. And so, Jordan, what would you leave listeners with today as just one of the most important things for them to take away to really love their lives as lawyers or love how they're using their law degree?
Yeah. Listen, be selfish. I'm going to give you that permission. It is amazing. Like, in the worst moment of everybody's lives, they come to you and they're like, I just got arrested. I just got into an accident. I'm thinking about death and making sure the kids are okay. And we take on all these problems. So like, there are moments where you have to put yourself first so that you don't burn out, so that, you can't pour from an empty cup, so that you can't drive yourself miserable. And by you being selfish, the certain amount of time, the right amount of time, you show up better for clients. You can focus on doing the work correctly. You can make sure you surround yourself with the help that you actually need. And it's so much better instead of thinking like, I have to go, I have to come last.
That is probably the best advice you could possibly get, uh, which is take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. And it is true. That is one of the major things really nobody teaches us. And so take that advice today. Consider what would it look like if you were taking better care of yourself and putting yourself first, because you're the machine. You're the machine in this engine. And without you, there's nothing. So I love that advice. Thank you, Jordan. Thank you. That's so great.
Thank you so
And
much
and
for
maybe
having
I'll
me.
add one piece, which you've really done so well, which is that your kids are only little once.
Yeah.
Kids are only little once. And Jordan, you're making the most of that. I love seeing that. My kids now are 21 and 24, and it went like a blink of an eye. And so just for all of you out there with kids, remember that your kids are only little once, and do what you can to make the investment. And it's probably honestly going to be a 3 to 5 year investment of building a business around your law degree, so that
Yeah.
you can take 13 months if you want, or even 2 weeks and
Or
be with your
even
kids,
an afternoon,
or
an
even
hour
an afternoon.
early, going to the Spanish show at the school, whatever. It's like, I love what you talked about earlier, the have, get a win, get that quick win and just keep snowballing it into bigger and bigger wins.
Yeah. Yeah. Jordan, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. And I loved your book, and I know everyone else will as well. So thanks for being here. And I'll look forward to connecting with you again soon.
Thank you so much.
Bye everyone. If you loved this episode with Jordan and you are inspired to either start your own law practice or turn your existing law practice into a business you love, and you're either considering estate planning or you are already offering estate planning and you really want to do it in a way that is lucrative, that your clients love, that you do not compete with AI or cheap legal or even up and coming financial advisors who are trying to take all the estate planning business, we can help. Simply go to newlaw.co/show and book a call with a law business advisor so we can help you determine what is the fastest path to turn your law practice into a business you love and whether you are the right fit for our support. Go to newlaw.co/show. See ya on the other side.